Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Florida Man Does Weather, Tropical Storm Melissa edition. Currently, what we've got right here, this is your water vapor loop of the Eastern Pacific and the Caribbean and the Western Atlantic Ocean. As you can see down here, this blob down here is what is currently left of Tropical Storm Melissa, and we have a low pressure system moving across the Great Lakes. You've got a short wave off the Atlantic. You've got a ridge stretched across the Gulf currently and the state of Florida. Um, Caleb, go ahead and take it away from there.
So, can you bring it to the close-in view of Melissa?
Yes.
So we've got some things going on. It looked a lot better this morning, right when it formed. That big convective bloom off to the east was actually over that low level center that you see, basically right dead center of the screen. And right now, it's pretty devoid of convection. All of it's really on the east side. It's still battling a bit of wind shear and probably a little bit of dry air as well. And that means a couple of different things. Bring up the steering currents. So, as of right now, well, as of about 5 p.m., that's where Melissa was. That this is the steering scenario. Melissa is still moving generally westward with that low level circulation, but given that it is devoid of convection, there is a chance that the circulation that was ejected dies out, becomes not the dominant one, and all that convection off to the east reforms a new surface center. And then this will take that little weakness into Haiti, bring up the 250 to 850. So there is a weakness that if this were to reform, it would ride the general flow around this other high pressure and it would be brought straight into Haiti. But it would need to be a deeper storm, a stronger system, more well formed for that to happen. If that does not occur and the center that we just showed you guys is the true dominant center, and we get a convective bloom again overnight and it's able to kind of restack, it should continue a bit more of that westward motion. And then you will have another weakness open up, likely around this weekend, early next week. And that would favor more of the eastern Cuba, Jamaica, maybe even as far west as central Cuba, hit with a much stronger hurricane. Either way, some amount of land is going to get hit with this. If it's the Haiti option, unfortunately, it looks like it would stall out over Haiti and the Dominican Republic and just dump rain on the mountainous terrain, the coastal plains of Hispaniola, and it'd be a really big major flood issue if it hits Jamaica and Cuba. We're likely looking at a major hurricane. The water down there is bomb juice for any type of tropical cyclone that can get over there with a good core, and it would very much favor rapid intensification. Josh, what's our other scenario looking like?
So, our other scenario, if you look at what's going on with Melissa right now, and this obviously is assuming that our dominant circulation stays dominant, which is the naked circulation. Um, if you look real close here at the shear map, Melissa's center is right about where the mouse is, and it's moving to the west with a little bit of a southwesterly component, but it's very slight, not much. It just dipped below 14 north again. Melissa has actually sped up, it appears, at least on satellite imagery, and is going face first into shear. So, what that is doing when the shear is directly opposing the motion of the storm's motion, forward motion, actually acts as shear itself. So if you have, for example, right now, the shear is relaxing, you may look at that and be like, well, it's got 15 knot shear. Why does it look so bad? Well, the storm is moving between 15 and 27 mile or 15 and 17 miles an hour on satellite, and that's being conservative. It may be even going faster than that. But for intensive purposes, let's just say it's moving forward at 15 miles an hour. It's going face first into 15 knots of shear. That is equating to a opposing wind shear equivalent factor of about 30 knots. and 30 knots is going to cut the top off of pretty much any storm out there. So as Melissa continues to head west and moves a little bit to the southwest, it's eventually, sometime overnight tonight, going to get below that shear band. And when it gets below that shear band, that's when Melissa's really going to have the opportunity to take advantage of that rich, hot Caribbean water and kind of bomb out. So there is a scenario that has this forward momentum. Think about the concept of a bowling ball. Okay. Storms have inertia just like a bowling ball would if you give it a push. If you give the bowling ball a light push, um, bowling ball is going to stop pretty quick whenever your push goes away. If you give a bowling ball a really hard shove, the bowling ball is going to have a tendency to move a lot further, a lot longer than the light push. Melissa has been moving really fast today on presentation as that lower level center ejected. Okay, the longer that Melissa keeps that forward speed, it's going to act like that bowling ball. So when the steering currents lighten up, it's going to keep moving for a while until it slows down due to that forward inertia. Now, the thing that makes that challenging is we don't really know where it's going to stop at that point. When the steering currents get light, I mean, it could stop here in the central Caribbean, underneath Jamaica, just southwest of Jamaica. It could go all the way to bump into Nicaragua. Now, what is significant with that, okay, is at that point, the weakness that Caleb was talking about is no longer going to be pulling it to the northeast that sharply in that scenario. Take, for example, this is our GFS 18Z. The 18Z has nothing, no new data except position updating, okay? The deviant motion, if you will, of Melissa, which reality is just behaving as it would as a lower level system that is being sheared apart. It's following the lower level steering currents, which are continuing to go west and then south of west. Um, the GEFS is adjusting its model spread accordingly. Now, this morning, it was all Eastern Cuba, Haiti options. Okay. With the recent motion of this afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you look at the GFS, so there's a few options. So there's a cluster that goes off to the northeast towards Haiti. That cluster is assuming that Melissa rapidly explodes right now. If it rapidly explodes, like Caleb said, it's going to ride the edge of that ridge. Where's that? This ridge right here. Okay, and it's going to pull over Haiti and go north. Okay, looking at how it looks right now, that's increasingly unlikely. Pay close attention, though, to what happens with this pocket, this main pocket of the ensemble members. They move towards Jamaica, and then something really interesting happens. You get a portion of them that get caught, okay? In that weakness still, they assume that Melissa rapidly deepens and yanks off to the northeast still, okay? Kind of in line with what the GFS has been thinking all along, but a little more west than the trend was this morning. But what is significant now is there's a large cluster of ensemble members that strengthen this into a large hurricane, but have it so far west, okay, of the previous track, okay, and this is the model adjusting for that deviant motion. This large chunk, okay, of strong hurricanes, the ensemble runs, go to western Cuba before turning and going back to the northeast. Now, most of them pass just off the tip of Florida, but you've got several that are close enough that they could be considered a credible threat within 50 miles of the coast. That is a significant departure from this morning, where most of the ensemble members were over eastern Cuba and Haiti and the water in between. So that is a massive shift, and that's not accounting for any Hurricane Hunter data, and that's not accounting for any new data being put into the model except for location updates. So that is significant. You've got two options. You've got the storm rapidly deepening. You got three options. You got the storm rapidly deepening and being pulled over eastern Cuba, feeling that weakness. You've got the center reconsolidating to the east, like Caleb was saying, and if it does that, then it's going to get pulled north along the ridge, and that would be the Haiti option, which is increasingly looking unlikely, but not out of the question. And then if the third option is if that open naked swirl that is currently progressing um, to the west at a very rapid rate, if that maintains its dominance and it gets more convection over it overnight, and um, it continues to move to the west as the steering currents break down, that could end up being problems for Western Cuba and possibly become problems for Florida in the future.
Hmm. And then option four, this degrades completely back into an
Not out of
open
the question.
wave and slams into Central America. We'll see. It needs another convective bloom overnight to really get this survival option going
Yes.
because of course a reconsolidation off east under that big, kind of where the cursor is. Uh that's not out of the question, but it's difficult for things to it's difficult to occur, especially because those cloud tops are warming a little bit. There's not as many very cold towers as there was earlier this afternoon and especially this morning. As you can see right there, there's a general warming trend. There is that pocket of convection just to the east of the actual low level center. So maybe that is able to wrap back around and spark some stuff off and create another central dense overcast. And then the center is back in business. But if that doesn't happen, if this just degrades completely, it's very hard for these things to really ramp back up after that kind of degradation. And it may just continue moving west as a weak tropical storm, maybe even just a tropical wave like it once was. And into Central America it goes. Heavy rain and flooding for Honduras, Nicaragua, and points west. And that's a done deal. So it's just a lot of options still on the table, and that's demonstrated in once you really look at every ensemble option that you have and every ensemble model that you have access to, this is still just a full plethora of options.
Agreed, Caleb. So the next 24 hours, I know we said that before that the next few days would be key
This
as
is
we
part
were
of that few
watching.
days.
And this is, yeah, we're right in the middle of that. Like we said in the Facebook post last night. These next 48 hours would be key. We're 24 hours into those 48 hours, and guess what? We didn't see Melissa going into a naked swirl and continuing to head west southwest, but here we are. So yeah, the next 24 more hours will be key, and that will be playing a major factor into what happens with the track shifts. Regardless of what happens, I do believe, and I think Caleb, you can agree, with the plane data and the motion, the zero Z models will show a significant move towards the west. How far west remains to be seen, but the models will be correcting significantly based on the additional plane data from the first recon flight and the motion that Melissa has continued throughout the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, last night's model runs, especially from the GFS, um, should be moving north still. The overnight run of the GFS from Zero Z yesterday had this definitely way north of where it is right now, getting much closer to Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Um, Clearly, it's not. So
Yep,
it's just this theme of this hurricane season is things behaving weirdly. Just continues. It's a challenge round. Last year was fairly easy, albeit a lot more impactful. This year we've only had Chantal. We'll see if it can stay that way. But yeah, more eye candy to look at. It's weird late in the season getting a African easterly wave this far, but that's where we're at.
yep. And if any big changes happen, we will be keeping you guys posted on both Facebook and YouTube. So keep an eye out. Just continually check and monitor what we're looking at uh, in the uh, in the tropics. We'll be keeping you guys posted regularly on this storm up until the point it either dissipates or becomes a large hurricane. But yes. with that, it's more of just a wait and see game. And that'll be it for tonight. Hope you guys have a great evening. Keep tuned for more posts and more videos regarding Melissa. Florida Man is out.